that. And so one of the things that you could do is you could go down to the Office of Planning and Zoning, and you could look at some of the larger developers. What they're doing is they're buying blocks. They're buying blocks at a time. So they're changing the whole block at a time. So you can see where these things are taking place. It's going to cost you some time to go down and look at the plans and do this research. But then you could determine, okay, well, if John Hopkins just bought these 10 blocks, then I'm going to look for something right in this area. If pharmaceutical companies just bought these 6 blocks, well, I want to do something in this area. If the grocery stores, so that's how you gotta be proactive and use the data. There's a lot of data out there. I mean, with the internet, it is so easy right now. You can plug anything into Google and something will come up. And if you read that something, there might be a link in there that's going to take you to something else. And so you gotta kind of do some research. A lot of times, that's how I get my knowledge. I just sit there. I don't have kids, so that's a distraction I don't have. So I have my laptop, and my wife is self-sufficient. She got money and she got a car, and she just go does what she needs to do. Right? So I work, but knowledge is power, and that's how it goes back to, I'm going to be 50 soon, and I don't want to be working hard. I want to know there's 10,000, there's 15,000. 20,000 coming in through these systems and these processes that I'm trying to put in place now. Because my legs do work, and God wakes me up and I try to make a difference. And so we have to look at that as how we use our time, right? How we invest our time and what we do with our time. Because you got the same 24 hours as I do. You got the same 24 hours as I do. Right?
You're like an EMT is what I say.
EMT?
Yeah. Emergency medical. If somebody calls you, you're gone.
Yeah, that's true.
You got a 24/7 business.
Yep.
You signed on.
But it's how we use our time, right? Because I did an exercise in my other book. I write everything down. I have like about boxes of these books. I take these books and I write stuff down. Like this is what I was writing down. 11:53 p.m. on Thursday night. I'm constantly writing stuff down because we have visions in our brain. And if you think about, when I came to this country, I didn't speak English, I didn't read and write, but how did I learn? The lady was like, this is a car, this is an apple, this is a pear, this is a house. It was through images. So, if you look at these brain surgeon type people, they teach people through images. So the first thing we see is an image, and we associate a word with that. And then in order to take that image and make it even more live, you take it out of your head and you put it down in your own words. And then when you see it in your own words and you see it even makes it more of a confirmation. Like you're declaring that this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do. And you go back and you look at it. And then what I do is I go back and I update it. So I take a red pen and I go back to my notes and I update, okay, how much progress have I made? Am I on track? So you constantly got to be on the same track. So if you go all over the place, you're not going to get shit done. You're not going to get anything done. You're going to waste a lot of time. You're going to be 50 years old and you're going to be like, damn, where did the last 15 years go? Right? You can't, that's one thing you can't get back is your time. So, if anything, today is get your time management, control your time, because that is the biggest gift. Because I'm telling you, when God wakes you up, gives you another day, that's like a gift. And it's what you do with your time is what you're going to be held accountable for. Right? So that's one of the secrets or whatever. But I write everything down, write down systems, processes, what I'm working on, what I need to do.
Vision board too.
Yeah, a vision board. And Oprah is huge on that. I love Oprah's classes. You watch her classes?
I've been doing that meditation, the challenge, or whatever, the 21 day.
20-day challenge?
21 days.
She has, man. If
Wayne Dyer, is that right? Yeah. No, Deepak.
Deepak.
Deepak. Yeah. It's a meditation challenge.
They have, Oprah has a class every Sunday morning, and it's basically, she brings these real powerful speakers on. And it talks about, meditation, it talks about peace, it talks about, we have everything. You know, we make a lot of these confusions and these complications in our lives, and you see it from a higher level. Because, you know, bottom line is money's money, but we all want peace. That's the bottom line. You don't have to worry about no bills. You know, you need something, you go get it. You know, you're at peace with God, you're at peace with your family, you're at peace with everybody, you're at peace. When you have peace, you have happiness. We all have it, it's just that we have so much shit on top of it that it looks like a mess. And we have to learn to remove that and kind of bring that up to the surface. And so one of the things I like to do is I get up early. I get up anywhere 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I sit outside and I listen to nature. I listen to the trees moving.
I see this a little bit later.
Yeah. But it's a sense of quietness because everybody's sleeping. You could actually hear the squirrels scratching on the trees. You know what I mean? That's peace.
I like in my coffee.
Yeah. You just sit outside, even if it's 20 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. You know, and you'll notice you'll have thoughts that will come to you. You'll have ideas that will come to you. You'll have things maybe you've been struggling with, like to make a decision on, or you just weren't clear on what I should do. But things will come to you, but you have to learn to listen. You got to learn to listen to the voice. You got to learn to listen to what's coming to you. And it could be just sitting outside watching a tree limb fall, and then boom, something clicks. And so I mean, there's things for me, at least, in my own experience, that's what I've seen to work. All right, so in terms of, you know, rentals, right now the biggest place for rentals is Baltimore. You could buy a property down there for about 17 to 25,000. At least 3 bedrooms, at least 2 bathrooms, and you could rent those things out. For Section 8, it's going to give you at least $1,300 to $1,600 rent on Section 8. And Section 8 right now is looking for properties. There's a huge demand right now in Baltimore for move-in ready properties. So I got an article the other day, because I have Section 8 properties in Baltimore, and they're looking for move-in ready product right now. So, but also, you know, there's a double-edged sword. You got to be careful with that, because you got some great Section 8 tenants, and then you could have some bad Section 8 tenants also. So, you know, again, this is a business, so you wanna look at not just the money part of it, but you also want to look at the bad part of it first and see, okay, well, what can go wrong? Because, like, for example, I have a couple of rental properties. You can make $300, $300. You make $900 in 3 months, but all of a sudden your furnace went bad, and now that cost you $700. So now you just basically made $200. You know, so all these things got to be taken care of. And then let's say you have some bad people in there, which your carpet was new and it's black when they move out. There's holes in the wall. It's going to cost you $2,000 to $3,000 to turn that property over, right? So you might be making $1,000 a year, but then you have a Section 8 inspection comes in, which they do an annual inspection every year, and they'll come in and they'll say, okay, well, here's what's wrong, or whatever. Each inspection could possibly cost you $3,000 to $500 to $1,000. Depends on what the inspectors find. Now, DC is a lot more favorable to tenants. Baltimore and Maryland area, it's evened out. It's like, you know, the landlord has a voice and the tenant has a voice. Whereas DC, it's like mostly the tenant. Mostly they protect the tenants. It's a, you know, yeah, just be careful in DC. Make sure you have all your documents, and we'll talk about that. But DC is very strict with tenant and landlord laws. So with Baltimore, with my Section 8 properties, you know, you have to know the law. Once you know the law, then you can tell the inspector that comes and inspects the property that it's the tenant's responsibility to fix this and fix that, fix that. Because a lot of times the inspectors that I've dealt with are not really educated, and they don't really know the proper measures of what the tenant's responsibility is and what the landlord's responsibility is in terms of taking care of the property. So when a tenant gets into the Section 8 program, there's a videotape the tenant has to watch. It's like an hour-long videotape that explains this is your responsibility, this is what you're supposed to do, this is you know, how you're supposed to maintain the property. It educates the people that get into the Section 8 program on what to do to take care of the property. Unfortunately, some people don't listen. But you as a landlord have to know these things, so when you get into a situation where the inspector comes down and tries to hold you liable for all these issues, you can say, no, you know, to challenge certain things. And I have challenged things now, and I have won. So, but you have to know these things, because, you know, like I said, you could make 1,000, but you can also lose 1,000 in a year, so you're breaking even. So rentals, you could get in and make money, but you got to buy it right. You got to buy like 40 cents on the dollar, maybe put 10 cents into it. You got a 50% equity position, you know. But you got to buy it right, and you got to get the right folks in there, and you got to do a good job, you know, screening these people. And if you have enough equity, enough income coming in, is hire a local professional property management company that knows the laws of the eviction, that knows the laws on how to remove people and what the process is, how to serve them 30 days ahead of time, make sure you put it on the door, make sure you hand serve them. All these little things matter, because some of these tenants are professionals and squatters. They're professional at these things. They know how to work the system. That's why I say get a local professional company that knows these things. And they may cost you 8% to 10% of your income, but if you bought it right and you have enough equity, you're able to absorb that cost and still come out ahead. And that's where you're turning this thing into a real business. That's where you're not worried about the cost with the toilets and the refrigerator and my air conditioner is not working, because that's going to the property management company. Okay, so you know, when you go into rentals, take all these things into consideration, because you know, people want to go in there, oh, I could make thousands of dollars, I'm going to retire. Well, that's not true.
So you learn.
Yeah. Any questions so far?
No.
Was this good information?
Yes. Good.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of questions because I've read some of the stuff you're saying, but you just kind of putting it all together.
Okay. All right, cool. Cool. All right, so we're going to move on to hard money, like how to get the money for these deals. Okay. So let's, now this is, here's the thing now. Right now, where we are in March of 2013, there is a lot of money out there. There's a lot of money out there, okay? So if you look at what took place from 2007, 8, 9, to 10, 11, and 12, so between 2007 to 2010, the government was trying to get their act together. Okay, so what I mean by that? One, you know, we had Obama that just got reelected, okay? Then you had this huge crisis with the mortgages and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and Countrywide and Morgan Stanley and Lehman Brothers. All this stuff was happening at the same time. Then the first time in the history of the United States of America, you had so many foreclosures happen at the same time. The banks were not ready for it. They didn't have the proper staffing. They didn't have the proper systems. Then as this was going on, then that whole robot signing thing came into play, where there was that people stamping these documents. So that caused another layer of nonsense. But the good thing is we've gone through the storm now. You know, so now one of the things they were waiting for was, okay, who's going to be the new president for the next 4 years? Well, okay, so they know who the new president is. So there was a lot of money that was sitting on the sidelines between 2010 and 11 and 12. A lot of money just sitting there because they didn't want to put it back in the market, because one, you know, this whole thing with Obama and Mitt Romney and all this stuff was going on. So there was like a lot of debate. So you had the Countrywides and you had the Goldman Sachs and these multi-billionaires sitting on the sidelines because they didn't know what the rules of engagement was, and they didn't know who was going to be the new leader to implement those rules. So now they know Obama's in play. So they understand his mentality, they understand better on what his picture is and what his path is. So there's a lot of money coming back into the market. So this is the first time Goldman Sachs has taken $50 billion and put it to the side to create a specialty bank. Okay, Wells Fargo is creating a specialty bank. There's other major banks creating specialty banks. Why are they doing it? Because Norman wants to be a home builder, right? So one of the things, if you go back, okay, most of these banks used to do all commercial loans. They did your deposits, they did your withdrawals, they did your local, you know, business small loans, everything like that. Well, with this market going down the way it did, banks do not want to get into commercial loans the way they used to get into it. So now most banks are not giving him you know, $50 million to build a community of 50 homes. They're not doing it. So those type of loans have to come through what they call a specialty bank, because it's more risk, right? So one of the things the banks learn is, how can we remove risk out of the equation? How can we remove what happened? How can we learn from it? And what caused it? It was greed, and it was like a lot of risk out there. So they were leveraging $1 to $40 is what they were leveraging, 1 to 40. So if you had $1, they would give you up to $40 worth of loan. Okay, so now what they've done is they basically, the country actually, in the last 6-7 years, have learned to deleverage, because we were all doing it, right? So you make $100,000, but you actually spend $120,000, right? So you have a paycheck that comes in for $500 every 2 weeks, but you're actually living off of $625 every 2 weeks. So we've always been living outside of our means, but now in the last 4 or 5 years, things have kind of come to some sort of neutral area, where this is the first time that the savings rates across the board has gone up. First time Americans are actually saving money, right? There's so much money saved up. 2, the job market's coming back. There's confidence coming back. So now more people are looking to make loans. Okay, more people are starting to put money back on the street. But the problem is, you have all this money now, but you don't have no assets, right? So the banks had talked about this huge amount of shadow inventory that was supposed to get released into the marketplace. There's like millions of homes sitting in the shadow inventory that was supposed to hit in 2012, in 2013. Well, it hasn't. You know where it went? Take a guess. Okay, so a lot of billionaires, by creating these specialty banks, what they've done is they've created REITs. You heard of REITs?
No.
Real estate trust investment groups. So they created REITs. By creating these REITs, that allows them to go into Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and buy these things at auctions. We're going to buy $5 million worth of government notes. We're going to buy $10 million worth of government paper. So by them buying this paper, therefore the shadow inventory has shrunk. So then we're sitting on the bottom like, give us the crumbs. You know, we just want 2, we just want 3, give us the crumbs. Well, now because they've bought so much of this inventory, they're going through it, they're picking out all the Class A, Class B quality. So the stuff they don't want is going to go back out. But how do you get to it? That's what everybody wants to know, is how do you get to this Class C and Class D stuff that you don't want, right? So that's what we're all trying to figure out, like where is it, and what do you got to do to qualify, and how can you get in front of the right people to say, hey, I'll deal with Class C and Class D paper. So that's what I'm trying to figure out too.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to give me something.
But that's where things are right now. Because I was waiting, you know, Prince George's County was supposed to get almost 3 million homes to be released back into the supply. It didn't happen. Right? It didn't happen. So right now, one of the things I'm doing is I'm trying to get all my stuff together, all my licenses together, get everything current, all my insurance, get everything current, and get prepared. Yeah, because the thing is, you know, and this is also written in the Bible, and you got to be prepared for the opportunity. You got to be prepared for the opportunity, because it's going to come as long as you have faith and you believe. As long as you have faith and believe, and when it comes, you got to be like, boom, here's my license, here's my insurance, here's this, here's that, I'm current. Come on in. That's what's going to happen. But you got to, it's all about preparing today for tomorrow. And that's what I'm doing, because I don't know how it's going to hit the streets, the C and D paper, but they got to get rid of it. Unless they start dealing with C and D paper, which I don't think they will. You know, but if you get all your licenses, get everything in place, then with you being the real tour, then you can start getting to doing more BPOs, getting to more asset management, and providing these things, these licenses. You know, because the thing is, what does asset manager wants to do? They want to offload the deal to you. You deal with it, get it sold. But if you have a team that could do these things, that could do the winterize the home, right? That could get it cleaned up, get it tuned up, get it to where it's presentable, where you can list it in the market, and that kind of stuff. It makes your job easier. So for me as an asset manager, well, I'm going to give it to you than give it to this guy that doesn't have a team, doesn't have licenses. You know what I mean? So it's all about taking the information you have, packaging it, putting it together where you gotta get ready for the opportunity. Right? You gotta get ready for it. So, okay, with the hard money, the thing is, most of these hard money guys out there are charging 12% interest rate with about 5 to 7 points is what they're charging. Most of these guys. Okay, so, and their terms are 6 months, are your terms to buy the property.
On the back end, though, hopefully. Are they not
What's that?
payments?
Oh, they're monthly.
But not about paying on the back end, like once you sell, some of them you can get.
No, if you find one, let me know.
Okay.
Because all the ones I deal with,
You have to pay monthly.
they okay. So like the transaction I went to settle over yesterday, I wrote a check for $51,000. So what did that number include? It included 6 months of mortgage payments, which was like $19,000, right? And then it included your interest, your 12% interest, and then your points. So include all that, and then your closing costs. So they want the money up front. So like the job I'm doing is going to cost $98,000 in construction. So even you have your acquisition price. So let's say on that one, we bought it for $228, right?
Yeah.
So we're saying our construction cost is going to be $98,200, and then they give us 6 months term, right? So they said, okay, well, bring $51,000 to the table.
You bring.
So I brought a check for $51,000 to the table, right? So then they basically hold this money, they hold it, and on this here,
Who?
the lender,
Your lender, your hard money lender?
yeah.
Okay.
Then on the $98,000, you do 5 draws. So you do draw 1, like in this case, I'm gonna do 1900, 640, 19,640. You know, same thing. And then what they do is they hold the last draw until you get the certificate of occupancy. Then once you get that, then they release the last draw for $19,500. But the thing out of this is even with this money here, I got another investor that put up the cash, so I didn't come out of my pocket with any money, right? So the thing about real estate is, well, how can you buy real estate with no credit and with no money? Well, I just did it.
But you gotta pay monthly on that 51 now,
Right. So no, on this one, what I did is I created this as a second, so I'm giving them everything on the back end.
right? That's what I mean.
Yeah, so for the second, I'm giving them on the back end, so that he gave me 75, so I give him back, let's say 90 on the back end when the house sells. But with the first mortgage, your 6 months of interest, in my case, they collected $19,620 worth of interest up front. So part of the $51,000 was the 19,000 plus your points. In this case, they charged me 4 points, and then they charged me 12% annual, right? So the thing is, with this particular deal, let me see. Now, if I sell the house, let's say I sell the house in, I got 0 to 6 months. Let's say I sell the house in 4 months. Then they're going to give me a credit back. So they'll give me credit back for this on the back end, okay? And the same thing here. So with your second position, you work out a basically no prepayment penalty. So if you get it done back to them 3 months or 4 months or 5 months, then you only pay for what you borrowed and give his money back to them. But what I did, I let the title company create a second for this guy, and the title company created the first everything. So I didn't even handle any paperwork. The thing about investment, I don't like touching anybody's money. Let the lawyers deal with everything. Let them get all the paperwork together, get everything put together. Therefore, you're hands off. If there's any confusion, you work it at the table. Right? So therefore, everybody understands up front what everybody's goals are.
Brickfront properties. Your first and your second.
Well, this is going to be a private.
You're buying it from Brickfront Properties.
Right. So this is a private note
Right.
here. So it's a private promissory note.
Right.
This one, the first is going to be it's going to be under Brickfront Properties is the note. So the note is under here. Because I'm buying the house under the brick from property name.
Do you also do and/or signs, Doctor?
You can, if you're gonna flip it,
That's the way they taught us to do.
but if
Because you
you,
can wholesale it maybe before you go to closing.
yeah, but the thing about wholesale, you know, if you could make 100,000,
I'd rather flip, but.
yeah. And the wholesale thing about wholesale is you can make 10,
5.
you can make 5, you can make 20,000. You know, in DC, there's wholesale fees of $30,000, $40,000 in DC because DC is so hot right now. But again, it goes back to if you get it at the right price. If you get a house in Capitol Hill in DC for, let's say, $350,000, and we know that's an $800,000-$900,000 neighborhood, you can wholesale that thing for $450,000 and make a $100,000 wholesale fee. It goes back to where you buy that.
I've been looking at some over by Fox Hill, but they're expensive, you're not 800-900, but you can flip them for 1.5 to 2, some of them. But I need the money.
You need the money.
You know, and
Right.
somebody's not gonna give you that much usually.
Right, so then, okay, so let's say we'll do a role play. You come to me and you're like, hey, I got this house. So I'm gonna race this. Can we race this?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's do a little exercise. If you want to take a 5-10 minute break, you can.
If you want, we could normally come back
Yeah.
again and say, here, because I've been searching properties forever. I mean, I do a lot of analysis.
So where are you searching stuff?
Whereas,
Is that the only place you're fishing at?
yeah, and then, well, I look at the auctions, because I'm looking for that one Springfield property I talked to you about over at Spanish Town. I'm still looking for that property. But that's gonna be 400, so, and I don't have.
You buying it for 4?
That's what it was before, like 4.25.
Oh.
And you put probably 150 in it, and I can.
But why do you put, I mean, 150, that's a lot of
It
money.
has water damage. It has a lot of water damage in the unfinished basement too. You got 12
Like
foot.
a crawl space?
It's unfinished basement of 12 feet, almost ceilings, the sprinkler. And he's asking why 150. You could explain probably what the damage was in the sprinkler, the Asian house, but it looks like
150?
it has like shag carpet and multi-shag
Oh,
carpets.
How big is the house? What's the square footage?
Tax living area was like 3,900. You're not including basement.
Okay,
It's a
it's a
big
pretty big house.
It sounds
cul-de-sac,
interesting.
a stream in the back,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
right off the 95, 495.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna talk about, we're gonna do a lot of them on how to fund a deal.
Yeah, like the
So-
upper end deals we're looking at in DC.
So tell me the one you were, let's do yours.
Which one?
The one you
The
was
400 one? Or the 800?
Well, you wanna know how do you get the funding, right? How
Yes,
do you get
that's
the
what I
hard
wanna-
money funding, and how can you present the deal properly to the hard money person so they'll take a serious look at it?
Yeah.
All right, so tell me what you were able to do, what you didn't do.
And we have, and that's what we would need the money.
Okay,
That's
all right, so the
big
first
stuff.
thing is, you gotta find the house.
Right.
Right,
Found it, did the comps, did the,
okay, you do the CMAs,
yeah,
okay,
do your ARV or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
That's the rate, I don't know if they know, so that's why.
right, look,
Okay, okay,
all right,
yeah. And then what my construction costs are, my holding costs,
right,
your lenders, fees,
right,
stuff like that. Oh, and usually take 88% because you get the 3%, you know, the commissions.
right,
Okay,
so you're gonna take 12 out,
yeah, that'll be at the beginning probably, but yeah,
Right.
88% of whatever it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay?
And when I can sell it, I mean, whether you get whatever.
So when do you go out and look at the property?
I just happened to see this one on MRS, but then they bought it, the one in Springfield, they took back. They said it was too much work, it was an auction. So
All right, let's just do this,
they were
let's just talk about a generic property, forget about
Okay.
that one.
Yeah,
So let's say today, you go on the computer and you wanna find a deal.
right,
Okay, so you're gonna do these things.
right.
It could be Baltimore, it could be DC, it
Right.
could be Virginia, it don't matter. Okay, so fine, these are good, but when do you actually go look at the property?
I don't
So let's say
know.
you've done all these things, you're like, okay, I can see that this could potentially work, right? So when do you actually go out and look at the property?
I looked at the house before, I go on MRS and I see if it looks like a good deal. I do some comps first.
Mhm.
If the comps look good to me and the neighborhood's good, then I go out and look. Then I start doing my rest of my stuff.
All right, when would you go look at the property?
Like if,
So you've done the comps, you looked at MRIS, you've done everything, and And you, now keep in mind, okay, there's this many investors out here, and there's this many properties. So there's thousands of eyeballs on the same deal. You're not the only one looking at this. Okay? It's the guy that moves fast, that puts the contract in fast to lock it up.
Right.
Because the first thing about a deal is to lock it up,
Yeah.
to get control over the deal.
You put it in to get your 10
Right.
days at least.
Right. Get your control. Get the control over the deal, number one.